friend, 30M, has proposed after 6 years of infidelity to friend, 26F. This is a really difficult situation, so I hope you lot can set me straight. My friend Chris, 30M, has proposed to Amy, 26F, and she has no idea who he is. Chris always said he would tell Amy before marrying her, and he has said nothing. He's clever in that he's managed to make the Amy see the world and people the way he wants her to. This is a guy you would find sucking on a random girl's tits in a local club's smoking area on a night out when you turn up. He would always brag about his numbers to everyone/strangers. Send victory snaps of girls he's slept with naked to the other boys. Talk about his girlfriend like she was beneath him even when in hospital. And everyone knows. I've sent Amy anonymous messages twice saying he's cheating. Dropped numerous hints myself. Yet he's only been caught once and she forgave him and blamed the other girl. He has also told the group he suffers anxiety now and doesn't cheat. But he has a completely separate friendship group, and I'm sure he still does this stuff with them. If we were to give him the benefit of the doubt, the last time he did something was 2 years ago, again playing with a girl's tits in the smoking area. So at most that's 6 years or cheating. I could literally go on forever listing the things he has and still does to maintain this illusion for Amy as well. Do I just tell her straight and nuke the whole thing? My own girlfriend's mental health is quite fragile, and I'm picking up pieces of my broken family. My friends who know them say I should be happy for them. My other friendship group just say cut them all off and not attend, which is what I think is most reasonable. Either way, I'm complicit and awful. Any insight would be appreciated. TL, Dr. Guy has proposed to a girl he's cheated on for 6 years. What is the right course of action? Someone else has said something similar. If you are going to leave the friendship group anyway, then might as well burn that bridge and lighten the guilt you feel by association. I would bow out from the friendship group by letting them know this is no longer for me. Then I would contact Amy and ask to speak to her in person, and honestly I would just tell her. She will either listen and believe, or she will be angry with you for shining the light on something she probably already knows to an extent but unwilling to face. I have had to make the choice to tell a girlfriend, who at the time I did not know very well but I thought was a lovely person and I was hoping to build a friendship with, that I saw her fiance on a dating site. He also hit on me in person on a few occasions, which made my stomach turn. I was afraid that if I tell her the truth she may just end the friendship with me. Oh, I actually had way more to lose in that situation than you are right now. I told her and showed her proof. I was nervous, she was heartbroken, we both had a little cry. She ended up leaving him shortly. She is now in a loving relationship with 2 absolutely adorable kids and a man that loves and cherishes her. We are still close, although living opposite sides of the country, a bit more difficult to keep in touch. There is nothing wrong with either burning bridges. Sometimes you gotta nuke those F-seekers into oblivion, just so you are never tempted to walk them again. Or not minding your own business, which I find such a callous and selfish way of looking at the world and people in it. Update us if and when you made a decision and acted on it. Do I just tell her straight and nuke the whole thing? Yep, if I was the GF I would really appreciate that honesty before I would marry such a boss. If she finds out after the wedding, it will hurt so much more. You've sent her messages before, she knows he cheats. Do you really think she doesn't know who he is? Please tell her the whole truth. This story sounds eerily similar to what my boyfriend, now ex, of 5 years did to me recently. And you know how I found out? His buddy. He caught wind that we were about to move in together and couldn't stand by and watch me start a life with a cheater. It hurt like hell finding out everything he did, but I'd take the pain over living a lie. Of course my ex denied it at first, and in all honesty, I almost believed him. But texts and photos don't lie. And if the amount of girls he slept with is as high as you say, it really shouldn't be hard to gather up enough evidence. Again, please tell her. Even if she doesn't believe you, she deserves to know the truth. I was equally hurt over the fact that everyone around us knew the extent of his cheating and no one told me. But I also understand why no one came forward sooner. No one wanted to throw their boy under the bus. It's a tough situation, and even if she decides to stay with him, at least she's going into this marriage knowing the truth. I was best friends with a 25 meters and he was dating a 28F for what is now 6 years. I can honestly say that I couldn't go out front and say, hey, you've wasted 6 years of your life because he's sleeping with everyone under your nose, but it didn't really matter. She really didn't care to hear that he was gaslighting and using her for a home because she didn't want to lose him. I think she even thought that she could change him, as he was snorting drugs in his basement. It all depends on what you think will help the people of this situation. I chose to stay out of it for too long, and now that girl will forever be with a man who would call her stupid and ugly to his friends but the opposite to her face. My advice is just act in a way that you feel is best for everybody, but understand the consequences if she believes you. Sounds very similar to my situation. I'm sorry you went through that. I think my group is a ticking time bomb, so I'm inclined to walk away. I have a lot of responsibilities outside of this, so it's a heavy burden to keep carrying. Thanks a lot for the response, it's appreciated. Should I try to break up my sister's marriage? I, 24F, haven't used Reddit in years, but I made this account because I need some opinions on this. Apologies for formatting etc. My sister, 29F, has been married to her husband, 35M, for about 5 years. Their relationship is miserable to be around. They bicker and argue constantly, and I have seen less and less of her over the years because of this. He is a bit of a slob and is happy to lay on the couch playing video games for hours on end, leaving her do most of the housework and raise their 3 kids. He has always been like this. He always liked to drink and smoke and was never someone who could be called ambitious. He is very much the stereotype of husband is just another kid she has to raise. I don't honestly know what she ever saw in him. At the beginning when they were younger, I think she was just so excited to have a big wedding / buy a house / have babies, she just figured he would grow up. IDK, I'm trying to keep my personal opinions out of this, but I am so upset. My apologies. Since she gave birth to her 3rd child, she has stayed home to take care of the kids, all aged 5 and under. I think not contributing financially has made her feel guilty, so she tolerates her husband's behavior. Here are some of the behaviors that stand out to me as most concerning. He has repeatedly called my sister lazy, stupid, annoying, nagging, bitch, crazy, wrong, etc. etc. This has worn down my sister's self-esteem and confidence. I have tried telling her it's unacceptable, it's untrue, and have pushed her towards mental health care, but nothing seems to stick and she seems too worn down to do anything about it. As someone who has personally experienced psychological abuse in relationships, I know how warped the mind games can be, and I'm worried she's in a place where she can't see her own situation very clearly. One of their children is neurodivergent. He has told my sister the barrier is too big for him to overcome, and he has pretty much given up on having a relationship with that child. This breaks my heart because this child is an absolute angel and he has begun to clearly favor the other 2. Most recently, my sister was taking a nap and he was watching the kids. The youngest, age 1, somehow managed to get outside. Back deck is on the 2nd floor. When my sister woke up, husband told her, I can't find X anywhere. Sister found the baby all the way at the bottom of the back steps, meaning the 1-year-old was out long enough to climb down the steps. Husband says she couldn't have been out long, but in my mind any amount of time outside unsupervised is too much for a toddler. I am imagining their poor kid falling off the deck or down the steps, freezing cold, or a neighbor could have spotted the poor thing and called CPS. They have been in and out of marriage counseling repeatedly, and at one point, after hearing about husband not wanting a relationship with the 1 child, a counselor told my sister to pursue divorce. My sister is an incredible mom. It's what she's always wanted to be. She loves those kids more than anything, but she doesn't seem to see that her relationship with her husband is clearly having an effect on her kids' well-being. I asked her, if money was a concern, what kind of choices would she make, and she immediately said she's too afraid of divorce because A, she doesn't want to lose the house, and B, she is afraid he would get unsupervised partial custody and she doesn't trust him to watch them alone. I don't know anything about how divorce works or what custody would look like. I don't have kids. I'm not married. I keep feeling like it's not my place to do anything about it because I don't honestly know what I'm talking about. But I am worried that, In this state, she doesn't have the confidence to do anything about this, and the last straw will be too late. I am so worried about these kids. Is this my responsibility or my place to do something? Should I step in? What would that even look like? Help me Reddit. Too long didn't read. My sister and her husband have an awful relationship and I'm worried about how it is affecting their kids. I am considering actively trying to split them up. Edit. Thank you everyone for the feedback and very helpful advice. I really needed an outside perspective. I will focus on being there for her as a source of support and respect her decisions. Thank you! Exclamation mark. You can't break up her marriage because ultimately staying or leaving is her choice. However, I would sit your sister down, talk to her about going to therapy and clearly laying down why you are worried about her and the kids. It sounds like she is going through emotional and financial abuse and it's not okay and she should leave. It can be harder to grasp when you have been abused when it's not physical, but emotional abuse is incredibly damaging to her and the children. If you can offer a place for her and the kids to stay or find her place so she can sort things out, that would be great. Ultimately, all you can do is offer your sister and her kids is love, support and a willingness to point out the hard truth in the most caring way possible. Be sure to emphasize to your sister that you aren't judging her but are worried that she isn't safe nor getting to meet her full potential in this toxic relationship. Best of luck to you and your family. Edit. If she wants to pursue divorce, she can and should sue for full custody with supervised visitation for the father. Have her document the neglect even if it's just writing it down in a journal. Back up any evidence she has of verbal abuse, etc. You can find lawyers sometimes willing to take on pro bono cases. Good family lawyer will be able to detail what are likely outcomes financially and as far as child support goes. Another thing you could do to support your sister is offer to spend more time with the kids. Take them for an afternoon, maybe the older ones for a sleepover. This could let mama get some self-care time or even just uninterrupted cleaning time without feeling guilty for leaving them with preference Z over there, dad. It's also going to be huge for those kids to have a respite from that environment if mom chooses to stay. So establishing yourself as a trustworthy caretaker early will give them great opportunities to bond with you and see you as a safe space early, and normalize what being around adults is like. I recently moved into a house and set up the guest/kids room right away. With COVID I've been cautious to have the kids over, but my COVID test just came back negative, so I'll try to take them this weekend. Thank you! Exclamation mark. You shouldn't actively try to break it up, but, ideally, you should encourage her to go to individual therapy to recognize what's happening and build a support system so she won't have to take care of 3 children alone in case she divorces. I'd ignore advice to not meddle no matter what, because it's absolutely nonsense to act like a relationship that include 3 children being 2 partially and 1 totally neglected by one of the parents is an issue between 2 people. It's not, it's parental neglect, and those kids are part of your family, and can't do anything to help themselves besides rely on adults. You can't make your sister do anything she's not ready for. But I will share a couple tricks I picked up being the parentified older sister: lots of responsibility, 0 authority, of someone who dated a lot of assholes. Be curious. Do you think that's okay? Are you happy? Be as non-judgmental as possible. Being a safe place for her to open up is more effective than attacking the marriage. That puts her in a mindset of defending her husband to defend the life they have together. When she tells you negative things, be supportive. I love you and I want you to be happy. You deserve a partner who has your back. It might not feel like there's a big difference between that and husband is the worst, this isn't okay. But in my experience there's a big difference in effectiveness. Her self-worth is in that toilet and TBH. Probably will be until she gets out of there. Take things out of that context. What advice would you give me if I were in your position? Would you think it was okay for my partner to treat me this way? What about kiddo? Do you want her to think this is okay? You don't want to be confrontational and have her stop coming to you, but this is the heavy hitter. One of the most valuable reality checks for people who know they have shitty self-esteem is the best friend check. Put someone else in my place. Do I still think it's okay? Especially where there are kids involved. They're learning from this even when she thinks they aren't, even when she thinks she is taking the psychological hit instead of them. Finally, this is outside my experience, but document everything about the kids. Start a journal, a digital folder, whatever. Every time husband says he doesn't care about neurodivergent kiddo, lets the baby get lost. Date, story, screenshots of texts, whatever you can get. It will help with custody. Hope she gets out of there. You sound like a great sister. BF27M suddenly leaves to Finland, where his ex lives, with 2 single mates, for 2 months, leaving me alone for Christmas and NYE. It is to work on himself because he is depressed. How can I ever support this? Me and Dan have been together for 3 months now and they haven't been very smooth. I often feel like I'm pulling the relationship forward by initiating almost all sexy times, a lot of the events and supporting him in his choices even though I don't always stand behind them. He disagrees and tells me I just don't see his initiatives because I focus on the negative in him. He is depressed, or shows many signs as I have been depressed myself. I know the thoughts and the behavior. He doesn't feel a thing of happiness and isn't enthusiastic anymore about a lot and lowers his mask with me, which I want him to be able to do with me. It is absolutely exhausting when I haven't seen him in 1,5 weeks to have made the bed, bought treats and beer he likes, putting on exciting music he likes and getting myself in a nice piece of underwear to be rejected by him laying in bed with his eyes closed and unable to interact with me or talk with me because he is just tired and doesn't show any appreciation. Now we are working on this, but it's been draining me and not wanting me to visit him as often, because I have a very heavy study load at the moment where I really need my sleep and sanity. He is going into therapy after the doctor will send him through, so he has acknowledged the problems, which is great. But he just told me last weekend he'll leave next Friday. At first it was 2 weeks to go away to Berlin to unwind and work on himself, which I accepted, because I wanted what he thought was best for him. Then it would be suddenly with 2 of his mates, which I hardly accepted because, well, this would be to work on himself and why not with me but with them. Then it would be to Finland, where his ex lives of 6 months ago. Then it would be for 2 months. So missing Christmas and New Year's Eve together. I cannot accept this and I asked for some space. Right now we are on a break and we'll see each other Thursday before he leaves. I'm devastated because I gave it my all and now he just leaves me to work on himself, in the country of his ex, with his 2 mates for 2 months, which just does not make any sense. He is literally running away from his problems and the relationship, leaving me. He knows how important this Christmas is for me. He knew how important my birthday was a month ago, but he didn't get me anything then as well. What should I do really, because I do love the guy. He is good by heart and he is very sweet and tries his best, but this, really? Tried so hard because I like him that much. He cried when I talked about the break and he doesn't want to lose me, I'm amazing etc. I deserve better and he understands my choice. Too long didn't read. BF of 3 months will leave for 2 for his own mental health, with his 2 best single mates to the country where his ex lives. I can't accept this and initiated a break till I know what to do about this situation. Any advice is more than welcome.